And articulation, just like any other mode of expression, is very personal. It depends really on what you prefer and also on physical things like the shape of your mouth, the shape of your tongue, and also your native language. So each instrument has its own unique way of producing articulation. And with wind instruments, it's often with the tongue. But I remember when I was very young, when I first started the flute, I actually just kind of went whoo, and the note came out. And I did that for a while until I got comfortable. And then only later did I learn to actually start using the tongue to produce the sound. With string instruments, they have a lot of variety in their articulation styles, and it's usually used with their bowing arm. And it's all very physical and very visual, and you can see what they're doing. And not only that, they have many, many terms for the different kinds of bow strokes and many terms for articulation. For us, we kind of had one word, tonguing, or maybe no tonguing. But for strings, they have words like spiccato, pizzicato, marcato, détaché, martelé, lure, all of these words to describe different articulation techniques. And it would be great for us flutists to try to emulate some of these techniques in our own ways of articulating notes. Flutists use syllables like T and D for single tonguing, or D and G, and sometimes maybe an R or an L, but we're pretty limited in the kinds of articulation syllables we refer to, but I think we can expand on that and really develop a good variety of our articulation techniques. So let's talk a little bit about the mechanics of articulating with our tongue. So we can divide our tongue into three parts: the back, the middle, and the front. And the back is in a neutral position, but we want to keep the middle of our tongue resting low in our mouths. And then we only use the very tip of it to actually articulate. So you can kind of imagine that your tongue is in the shape of a spoon, where the middle of it is low. And we want that because we want to be able to have room for our air. And if we don't, it actually compresses our sound, and we are not able to get a fully resonant sound when we articulate. So we don't want to necessarily suspend our tongue in our mouths, but kind of keep it low and out of the way. And I can demonstrate this. If I were to play a note and play some repeated notes while I'm suspending my tongue high in my air, it might sound like this. But if I relax my tongue and rest it against the sides of my lower teeth, it'll give me more room, and I'll have more room for my air. So it's really important to only use the top, maybe third of the tongue toward the tip when you're actually tonguing. You don't want to use your entire tongue, and you don't want to be moving it back and forth vigorously at all. And one way to test this is you can use what William Bennett would refer to as you'd put your finger underneath your chin and start tonguing. And if you feel a lot of disruption in your chin, that means you're using too much of your tongue. So try this, tonguing a little bit, and see if you can keep your finger pretty relaxed and pretty still. And also when we're tonguing, we want to make sure we keep our mouths very relaxed and our jaw pretty still. So the only thing that actually is moving is our tongue. We don't want to be moving our jaw. We don't want to be moving our chin. We don't really want to be moving our lips too much either. We want to really just be as efficient as possible. So the goal is to be as efficient, use as little movement as necessary to make the best sound. And as you're practicing articulation, always try to remember to keep everything relaxed, as we want to do when we're playing basically anything and everything. Keep everything relaxed, including your tongue. And you can really hear if your tongue is relaxed or not. You can really hear it in the sound. So if I were to play something and my tongue is very rigid, it would sound. However, if I keep my tongue relaxed, I have a better shot of getting a clear sound. And last of all, most important thing is to always use your air. Make sure you're always blowing through your notes and using your air and thinking about your airstream at all times whenever we're articulating. So now that we've thought about what's happening in the back of our tongue, in the middle of our tongue, where do we actually position our tongue when we're doing the tonguing itself?